Society Matters.
Hello, everyone. This is Donna Rosenblum. I'm the Director of Education here at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center. And welcome to today's podcast, Legacy Chronicles, Honoring the Past, Shaping the Future. And I have Linda here with me as our guest today. I'm so grateful for you to be with us, Linda. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This really means a lot.
For being a part of this.
Thank you.
And we're going to get right into our first question, which is for you to kind of give a quick, and I know it's difficult, but a quick maybe background of your parent or your parents' story.
My parents.
Your parents,
yes.
Both of them. So just a very quick overview, where they were, where they went, how they met afterwards. You know,
okay.
So if you can just walk us through that.
Okay, so both my parents were from Vienna.
Okay.
They were in totally different districts. My mother was in the Leopoldstadt, the second district, which was traditionally Jewish.
Okay.
My dad was in a district quite a distance away. His family was atheist, so he really was not brought up Jewish.
Okay.
My parents met in a socialist, as I was told, youth group in the early 30s. They were not romantic or anything like that. A little side note, I just found out a few days ago that my dad was involved in some kind of underground organization trying to smuggle guns against the Nazis. It might have been communist. I'm not positive about that. So my parents were not an item, but my mother did have paperwork to come here with her brother.
You mean
as
the United States?
United States,
Okay.
as a single person.
Okay.
My father had no papers. He was frantic. So he asked her, "Can you save my life?" And they got married July 3rd, 1938.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So obviously the Anschluss had already happened.
Exactly.
All right. And things were really getting, heated up.
Yes.
And so they were able to get that paperwork.
From only my mother.
Only your mother.
My
Okay.
father did not get paperwork.
Right, but they were married.
They were married,
Okay.
but he was still, because my mother got it just as a single person. The Nazis were, as a matter of fact, right outside the door, and they were harassed several times, washing the streets, both of them. My father, at some point, and I'm still trying to figure this out, even though I've been on this earth a long time, I just found this information out. Being the youngest of four, being the only girl, maybe I was shielded, but it appears that my dad got into some kind of prison camp of some sort. He was also in some sort of army. Now, that probably would have been before the Anschluss,
Right.
unless they didn't know he was Jewish. And he was in some sort of prison camp. My mother and my father were going separately, separate ways. And my mother and her brother came here, left in December of 38 and arrived in February of 39.
Okay.
My dad had a different kind of experience.
Right. So what happened to him?
He broke out of this prison camp, whatever it was, got to the Swiss border before, it was probably after Kristallnacht, which my mother witnessed. It's another story.
Yeah, because she didn't get out until December.
Right.
Sure.
So my dad was at the Swiss border, and a Nazi pointed his rifle directly at my dad. My dad thought that was it, and the Nazi lowered his rifle, and my dad got into Zurich, where he remained until my mother sent for him in September of 39.
Wow.
So that was my dad. And I never knew about the Nazi. I just found out literally a few days ago.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. All right. So luckily for them, they basically both got out just as the war started.
Yes.
And were kind of shielded from everything that happened from that point.
Yes.
Okay. So they come to America and they establish their lives here.
Yes.
And then they have, you said, the youngest of four?
Yes.
All right. So what was life like growing up? Did your parents continue to speak German? Did you, Did they talk about the Holocaust or, well, I mean, obviously things happened to the rest of their family.
Yes, yes.
So when was the first time that you kind of learned about this?
As early as I can remember.
Okay.
I really feel that being the only girl, I was made to be the memory keeper.
Okay.
And that was my role. And really very young, I did go to Hebrew school in a conservative synagogue. I remember seeing Night of Fog in the Hebrew school. I remember hearing many stories about the victims of the Holocaust. And it just seemed normal to me.
Okay.
My parents spoke a combination of German and Yiddish because my mother's parents were from Poland. And they lived nearby, thankfully. I had them. But I really always heard about it. I felt different with my other American friends.
Now, your mother was one of how many?
She was one of 4.
She was one of 4.
Yes.
And
Thankfully, they all survived.
came.
My mother's sister had to go to New Zealand because there was no other place.
Okay.
Her 2 brothers were here.
okay, we're
Yes.
already here.
Yes.
And that's how your grandparents got here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what about your father's family?
So my father's father had passed in the 20s, and his mother and her daughter, his sister, and a few others went to Shanghai. They were there for 12 years.
All right, that's a whole nother story. We have to do a whole nother podcast
Yes.
on that because
And-
that's
yes.
that's a whole big thing.
And my father's,
wow.
my father's brother went to Argentina, to Buenos Aires. I was just there. I tried to connect with them. I wasn't able to. So everyone went different places.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So the family that went to Shanghai, did they come to the United States
Yes.
after?
Like 12 years.
All right, so
Yes.
so
Yeah.
you had some family growing up.
That
thank
was
goodness.
a whole, other story.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. All right.
Yes.
So you learned early. You knew that you were different. Your parents obviously had accents, and did you see any? I mean, were they friends with other survivors? I mean, again, because they kind of got out earlier,
Yes.
it's a bit of a different story.
Yes.
But did they surround themselves with other Holocaust survivors?
Constantly.
Okay.
They had a group of friends from Viennese, and they were always getting together with them. They also visited a lot of connected relatives or friends. We were in Washington Heights all the time, the Bronx, and there was a separation of years between me and my next brother, like 7 years. So I was always with my parents. I was always listening to German, not so much Yiddish with the friends, but it was like constant. And I always wondered why some of their friends had certain scars on their face. Or there was a woman, my mother said she could never have children. She told me a terrible story that when she was in the camp, she was pregnant and the Nazis got rid of it.
Right.
So I always heard these stories.
So, fast forwarding a little, I mean, as you said, you kind of were the keeper of the memories. You were with your parents a lot when they heard these stories. You kind of were committing these stories in the back of your mind. It was all very much a part of who you were.
Yes.
Did you decide to study the Holocaust in college, or did you begin reading? Do you remember the first time? I mean, I remember in the late 70s, that first Holocaust movie that was
Yes.
on television.
Interesting you mentioned that.
Yeah.
I was at college. I just retired as a nurse after 46 years. So I remember watching that. I got so upset. I called my parents at the exact same moment, like a few of my brothers called my parents at the same time.
Yeah.
So very much. And speaking of that, I think that's why I went into healthcare, because I just always wanted to help the unfortunate. And through my years of working, I took care of many survivors.
Yeah.
I would always notice the number on their arm, and I would just kind of just calmly try to comfort them.
Yeah, you were like, you gravitated to
Yes.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
and look, nursing is such a noble profession, and and the fact that you wanted to do something like that, I think,
Yes.
is a real testament to you as a person.
Yes.
You know,
I think I was led that way.
yeah,
somehow.
but well, you know, whatever the reason,
Yes.
you know, and I think that speaks volumes of you, of your parents, of your family. That you know, that was something that you wanted to do.
Yes.
So did you have your own interest in researching your family, learning about the Holocaust? Did you read a lot of information? Did you, you know, I hear from other, you know, some 2Gs that, you know, like they went on this, like everything they read was Holocaust. It's like they, you know, it was they were like a sponge that just wanted to absorb as much knowledge as possible.
I started to more recently. You know, when I worked, it was just like all
and
consuming.
you were raising a family.
But there's an interesting little story. It might backtrack a little bit, but my mother's family had a tailor shop, and they witnessed the Kristallnacht. They watched a synagogue across the street burn down. The next morning, my grandfather found a prayer book in the street, and he hid it in the wall. Many years later, everyone came to America, and someone who bought the shop, a radio shop owner, was renovating. He found the book.
Wow.
And one of my uncles was visiting the old house in like the late 90s or early 90s, something like that, and the kind man gave him the book.
He had still kept it.
He kept the book, and that book was brought here in like the early years of this center, and I believe it's in the archives. And so that got me more interested. And that man's son was a filmmaker. He made a movie about the relationship between my mom and the shop owner.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's called Überleben, which means survive. So that got me more and more interested, and I felt like I want to come here. When I retired, this is one of the first places. I'm more of a newcomer, only about 18 months, but let's see what I'll do here.
Oh, you're finding your way.
Yes.
So that was going to be leading to my next question as to, you know, your work here at HMTC, why you wanted to come. So you but what you know, how does being a docent or just being involved in giving testimony, what's the drive? How does that make you feel? You know, what's the mission for you?
Well, I'm actually not yet a docent. I haven't gone that route. I'm doing more survivor support and the 2G group, which I never even knew what it was until when we brought that book that time. I think her name was Beth.
Okay,
like
yes,
before
Beth
you.
Lilac.
She told me, you know, you're a 2G. I said, I am? I had no idea.
Right.
So it's been on my mind. But, you know, being a docent's not out of the picture. But I just feel like I'm home when I'm here.
That's nice. Yeah,
I really do.
I tell people that all the time, that when we have our community meetings, when we do any kind of events, that we're really just one big family.
Yes.
And no one has to explain anything. It is an unwritten, you know, like there's just an understanding that's
Absolutely.
there. And it really is very lovely. It's you have to kind of be in it to understand it.
Yes.
The outside world might look at it and be like, what is this woman talking
Yes.
about? But it really is there.
Yes.
And it's very, very beautiful and
Exactly right.
and meaningful. So you're going to be part of our 2G photo exhibit, right?
Yes, very exciting.
Okay.
Both my kids will be attending.
All
so
right.
it's
Yes.
really...
Yes. So that was one of the things that I felt that the second generation is so instrumental, because obviously now, as we're losing our survivors,
Yes.
The second generation has to step up to give that testimony.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I see how effective second generation testimony is. The kids react, again, a survivor is a survivor, and I'd never want to take anything away from them.
Yes.
But as they're aging, sometimes the second generation can relate to the kids a little bit more and say, let me tell you about my family, my father, my mother.
Exactly right.
And
so true.
And it works very, very well.
does.
And again, if we're not ready for the day, the day is going to come when we don't have any survivors. It doesn't mean that they're all gone, but they might not be in a position to speak.
Right.
And we need to be ready for that day.
Yes, we always have to remember. We must remember.
Yep. And so having people like you come on board and get ready and start to work on this, so that when that day comes, we are ready, and we'll always be sad, but we will be ready.
Sure.
I give Irv Roth, who was a Holocaust survivor.
Knew him.
Yes, very.
He helped us get the book here.
Yeah.
He was instrumental.
He's was a really wonderful man, and I tell his story all the time. And and every time I tell his story, I say, "See, I made a promise. I'm keeping my end of the bargain up."
Yes.
And I know he's very happy.
Yes.
There's no question in my mind. So it's extremely meaningful.
Yes.
So this 2G exhibit is to honor the second generation. And
so
to recognize how important their role is.
Yes.
So we're now on the third round of photographs that are going to be taken. You'll be part of round 3. The second installment will come this International Holocaust Remembrance Day in January. Round 2 will be exhibited, and then round 3 will be exhibited.
Exciting.
So even though we're doing it now,
Yes, of course.
but we're ahead of the game, being ready.
Yes.
What would you say to other second generation who maybe are not involved or don't? Again, not everybody has to tell the story. Not everybody has to be a docent. Not everybody has to be involved on that level. But as you said, you're just part of the 2G group. You give survivor support. You work with the committee on events that they plan, that kind of meaning.
Yes.
What would you say to 2Gs that don't know about these things or aren't maybe interested?
I have spoken to some people like that. I try to encourage them to come to look at the website, which has so much on it. And I said, it's for your parents. It's for their legacy. I don't try to be pushy, but I let them know that there's so much available here. And, this is your opportunity. Don't let it go,
What about so you said you're the youngest of 4, you're the only girl.
Yes.
So what about your brothers?
One of my brothers did get involved in transgenerational trauma. He did go to Auschwitz and Berlin. He actually was in a group with both children of survivors and of Nazis. And it's very interesting. So it's a very interesting way to look at it, Yeah. I also wanted to say that my parents were always talking about the Holocaust so much that on their tombstone in the middle, it says, "Never forget," with 6 stones.
When did they pass away?
My dad early in 1982. My mom in 2018 at 101. Wow. Yes, she was toughie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my dad...
Your father was tough too, just,
And whatever my dad went through with, I wonder if he really struggled with that and kept it inside.
Yeah.
I wish I knew more, but I'm going to try to find out.
Again, that's another common theme that many 2Gs always say, why didn't I ask more questions? Why didn't I?
Yes.
And I get that even with the Irv story. In Irv's story, I talk about... when he was at Auschwitz, he had a cousin, a distant cousin, who was the commandant of Auschwitz administrative assistant. Okay, and when he, his brother, and his cousin went through and got their tattoo numbers, it was on the manifest. She saw that they were there, and she interceded and asked the commandant to give them special privileges.
Oh wow!
Okay. It's a whole story. But sometimes I'll talk about that, and then the kids will say, "Well, what happened to her?" And I'll be like, I don't know.
I know.
I never thought to ask.
Thank goodness with technology today, you can really find out a lot.
But there's like that would be a question that now I would say, "Oh my goodness, why didn't I think about that?"
Right.
So that's another very common theme that that comes up all the time. So you have, of the 4 brothers,
3 brothers.
The 3
myself.
brothers,
Yes.
right? any of them not plan on speaking at all, or are not interested in?
I'm not sure about the two older ones, perhaps, but the third one,
All right.
definitely is involved.
Do they live local?
No,
Oh, all right.
they're all out of state.
They're all,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
I was going to say invite them to a community meeting or
Yeah, maybe.
whatever, but
I will.
maybe in the future.
Yeah, they need to keep in touch more with their sister.
Maybe when the 2G photo exhibit is being launched,
Oh, that's a nice idea.
maybe have them come in for that.
That's a very nice idea.
I would love to meet them
Yes,
and
thank you.
think about doing something like that. That could have a lot to say. So, all right. Is there any other words of wisdom or things that you want to impart to our audience as to the importance of the legacy?
Just it is the most important thing, and it's part of my being. And just we must remember, we cannot let it go. These stories are precious, and everyone should have a voice, even though they were silenced so long ago.
I agree. Well, thank you, Linda, for
Thank you.
being with us today, sharing your parents' story and your own story. And for all of us out there, thank you so much for another installment of Legacy Chronicles. Please like, share, subscribe. And until next time, it's Donna Rosenblum, HMTC.